It's totally mind-blowing how quickly a live broadcast can encourage sex and insult. Check this.
So this Instagram Live, anybody can broadcast using the system, and as I'm getting ready, boom, 2 seconds later, the first comment comes out. Haven't even had a chance to set up my camera or set up the equipment, and already the first comment has come in. As you can see, anybody can comment, anybody can watch your stream, anybody can heart what you have to say, and then the comments just keep on coming. 17 seconds, second comment, boom. 17 seconds in and already 2 comments. Let's see how many you can get in a minute and a half. This was you broadcasting or your child broadcasting. This is the kind of crap you have to put up with.
That's ridiculous. This is why we have to speak to an expert, and today we've got Devorah Heitner, who's in from Raising Digital Natives, who's going to tell us about this pandemic and how we can keep our kids safe online. Parents are finding it exceptionally frustrating. They want to protect your kids, but at the same time, you don't want to hold them back from the technology that they have access to, because we never had access to this kind of stuff when we were growing up. Playing outside meant playing outside, not taking your iPad outside. Let's be honest, sometimes kids know more than their parents do. How do we handle that?
Well, we want to be curious if they're into something that we don't know anything about, whether it's, Minecraft or another game or an app like House Party or something maybe obscure that mostly kids like. Just ask them to show it to you, not in a sense of like, what are you doing? But just, what are you doing? Show it to me. I want to understand it. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have a kind of leisure time to get as good at using that game or app as maybe they are, but it's good to be curious about what they're doing. And it's also good for them to have to explain it to you and for you to have an opportunity to admire their skill and expertise. If they're really good at it, it's good for you to know that.
So you touched on a good point there, where you mentioned that they worry that you're going to take it away from them, and I think one of the big problems with kids is that and this is maybe why they're also a bit wary to tell their parents anything, because the reaction might be, well, I'm going to take away your iPad, I'll take away your tablet, I'll take away your phone, and that's the best way to protect you. So they're going to be too scared to come to the parents and say, hey, I have a problem.
I think we need to create an atmosphere where they can be open with us. And if they see something that's concerning, like on YouTube or on the net, that they do come to us. Because if we overreact, then they won't come to us. And then we'll also teach them that we're scared to talk about what's out there. So be very open with them that there are some things on the internet that aren't great for kids, and let them know that they can turn things off, but also that they should come to us if they see something that's upsetting or confusing.
That's a great tip, kind of doing it together, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure they're safe, and they need your guidance, and they need that barrier as well, right?
They definitely need your thoughtful input, and the older they get, the more you want them to learn to self-regulate. You don't want them depending on you for that when they go off to university.
Now, in the olden days, it was whatever happened at school, but then you went home and there was a disconnect. Now there's no disconnection. It happens at home as well.
I do think that cyberbullying is a terrible problem because of its ability to follow kids home, for one thing, and the fact that obviously it can enable kind of an anonymous bullying that would be hard with in-person bullying. That said, the extreme cases that we hear about on the news are on the news for a reason. Most kids are not experiencing those kinds of extremes of harassment, extortion, threats. So we want to make sure our kids aren't embarrassed or ashamed to get help in that situation. Again, that said, it's really important to understand that most interactions between kids, even if they're negative, are not actually bullying. Someone not inviting you to their party and posting a picture of it is not bullying, for example. It's a bad experience and it can make us feel bad, but we all have to learn to be more resilient around those kinds of experiences, because that's a very normative experience in the social media age. said, again, if you're following someone and every post they post makes you feel terrible, maybe unfollow them, right? So we all have to curate our social media accordingly, right? I only want to follow people whose posts most of the time make me feel good, or most of the time they don't exclude me. So we can also talk with our kids about our own experiences with social media. Many of us are in Generation X, are in the Facebook era, and the Facebook generation, and we got maybe connected with everyone we ever knew at some point, and maybe we've done some trimming and rethinking since then about who we've connected with.
So now the common question that I get is, when should my child get their first phone? And that's a tough one.
It's true that if your kid is the last among their group to get a phone, there are some extra challenges in terms of making plans with friends, for sure. So it's definitely something to think about. But I would really look at your child's independence. How well do they do resolving disputes with friends? Are they likely to go ballistic and text everyone something mean if they're mad? Or are they more able to get control of their emotions? How responsible are they? Is this a child you could leave with a younger sibling for an hour while you are out in the backyard or even out of the house? Wow. If your child's not ready for any independence, if they're not ready to walk home from school alone, or you couldn't send them down the street to buy something for the family, groceries, they may not be ready. So I'd really look for some of those signs of independence. And that's actually when they're going to need a phone as well, because once they're independently circulating in the community, they probably do need a phone, because they should be able to call you in an emergency in that situation.
Right, let's talk Screenwise. Okay, tell me about the book, tell me what we can find, who is it aimed at?
Yeah, so I wrote Screenwise to help parents. I travel around the country talking with parents about raising kids in the digital age, and parents are very stressed out about these questions about when to get kids a phone, how to deal with social media, how to deal with gaming, how to think about mentoring their kids versus monitoring, which is my big focus, because a lot of parents have been told they should monitor and they should just see everything their kids are doing. They should use apps to parent. And I suggest in Screenwise that, in fact, although mentoring is a lot more work, it's going to result in a child who ultimately is more independent, more ready to self-regulate, more ready to make good decisions. And part of that process is focusing on repair, so that we like to think of digital citizenship as prevention. We all want to prevent sexting and cyberbullying, but sometimes kids have to learn to repair. If they make a joke in a group text or on social media that doesn't go over well, or if they rage quit when they're playing their game, they need to be able to go to their friends and apologize. And so that's something we can teach them. So Screenwise is for parents all the way from, preschool, toddler, all the way through middle school, I would say, or the beginning of high school. When kids are going through those milestones of first phone, first social media accounts, maybe beginning to date, thinking about what friendships look like in the digital age, gaming, are they ready for a public server? So if you're asking yourself those questions, Screenwise could be really helpful. And parents, I think part of the challenge is that parents don't always have a great community of other parents to talk with, because we have, as a society, been so screen phobic that we kind of shame parents if their kids have any screen time. So parents who will openly talk about their kids' other issues will not talk sometimes about gaming or social media with other parents. And partly it's respect for their kids' privacy, but I think also it's that as a society we don't want to be the super permissive one or the super strict one, so we feel afraid to talk to other parents. And so part of what I do in Screenwise and in the discussion guide with Screenwise is to try to open up doors for parents to also seek out mentorship in their own communities and talk to one another.
So when they say kids don't come with a manual, well, they do now, right?
This isn't one manual, but yeah, I think there are other great parenting books about how to talk to your kids about money and sex, and I would put screens in the same category. It's an ongoing process. You wouldn't talk to your kids once about gaming when they're 7 and then never revisit the process, the conversation. I mean, just like money, you might have one conversation about an allowance when your child is in first grade, but when they ask you, how much do you make when they're in sixth grade,
right.
It's a different conversation. And by the way, with the internet, they're going to be able to find that answer out a lot more easily. They'll be able to find out, all the questions our parents said, I'll tell you when you're older, or you don't need to know that. They're going to Google it. And so that's one of the reasons we have to be more proactive as parents, is we don't want our kids to Google everything. They should be able to come to us or get a good book about certain topics versus Googling it. And we need to really make sure that they know that search is amazing, and some of my good friends work for Google, but it's not the answer to life and the universe, right? We don't want our kids just Googling everything.
Fantastic. All right, so if people want more information, where can they find the book? Where can they get more information to get in touch with you?
Screenwise is available on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com and at your local independent bookstore. And you can also come to my website at raisingdigitalnatives.com to see my blog. Today I blogged about questions that parents ask about when should I talk to another parent, and if I see something going on with their kid on social media or gaming, what's the appropriate way, and when should I maybe leave it alone? And so that's a common question. So I blog a lot about things like that. And if you're really serious about getting lots of blog posts, you can sign up for my newsletter.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time. I'm sure we're going to get lots more questions, and we'll just forward them on to you.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. It's nice meeting you.
Appreciate it.
I'm still horrified from those initial comments on the Instagram Live. Anyway, hit the subscribe button, tell us what you think, and we'll see you in the next episode.